Hey everybody, this is Rob Caldwell from Bombworks Sound.
And Carcass John Fossum from Metal Rising.
Welcome to the maiden voyage, the very first episode of the Metal Roundtable. We're not sure where this is going, but we're going to expand as we move along and see how things go. We're going to start off today with our first topic, which is going to be what got you into hard rock and heavy metal. Why don't you take it away?
You want me to start?
Go ahead.
Well, I was raised by a classically trained musician. My mother was very accomplished. She did a lot of keyboard stuff and could play a double-reeded instrument. So I was raised with lots and lots of music, everything from Beethoven to Dave Brubeck. And as I grew older, those elements of music, it became more apparent to me that music was more about feeling than about theory. And so things that sounded good or felt good when I listened to them became a little more on the forefront of what I was looking for. So when I was 13 years old, I wandered down to the base commissary there in Alabama where my father was stationed, and I bought my first two records, Grand Funk Railroad and Black Sabbath Paranoid.
Nice.
And I was off to the races.
Good place to start.
Yep.
So what blew you away about the first thing you heard? I mean, how did you know to look for those two? What got you on that track?
Honestly, and I guess that's because I have kind of an artistic eye and always have since I was a kid. I saw the vivid graphics of the record, and then I asked somebody who was a little older than I was, and I said, "Hey, what do you think about this?" And the airman that was there said, "Man, both of those are killer, and if those are your first, you'll really enjoy them." So I took I think they were $2.98 a piece, and I still have them in my collection. And like I said, I was off to the races. I came home and carefully placed them on the turntable, enjoyed the size and the grandeur of the graphics and the cover. And as soon as I put the needle down and heard that sonic bliss, man, I was all there, 100%.
Do you remember which one you listened to first?
Grand Funk.
Grand Funk.
I took the safe approach first because for some reason Black Sabbath scared the crap out of people.
Right. That's funny. I have a somewhat similar story. I remember I grew up on radio stuff. So I heard the Go-Go's and the Greg Kihn Band and everything that was top 40 kind of rock radio, Joan Jett and the Blackhearts, that sort of thing. But what got me going on hard rock and metal was, and I don't remember which happened first, but there were two seminal moments in tripping the trigger toward becoming Metal Rob. Was I'll tell the Kiss Destroyer story first. I had this guy that lived down the road. I grew up in a little town called Bells, Texas. And in Bells, Texas, there was nothing going on.
Been there and understand your
750
There's still
people.
Nothing going on there,
Yeah,
Rob.
750 people in the whole town. And this kid that I think it was somebody I went to church with when I was a little kid, named Tony Potter. He was the kicker for the football team. And I babysat his kid or something. I don't remember what our connection was, but anyway, I would come and go from his house every so often, and he had this collection of 8 tracks. And he said, "Man, if you've never heard Kiss, you need to take Kiss." And he sent me away with Destroyer, Love Gun, Alive 2, and a fourth one that I can't remember. So I get home and I pop in to my dad's stereo that I later blew the speakers up on. Playing Lick It Up. But I put in the Destroyer 8-track just by chance and honestly thought something was wrong with it because of all the sounds and the intro of the guy driving the car. I couldn't figure out what was going on. But I let it play, and then all of a sudden, and they hit that chord, and I was just like, oh my gosh. I didn't know if aliens were going to come down or God himself was going to crack the sky. But man, when those guitar chords hit, it just blew me away. And I'd never heard something so huge in my life. But I think that must have happened first because later, I think it was later, I was in 7th or 8th grade, standing outside of one of the classrooms in Bells. And this guy that worked at the auto parts store name was Tony Hanning. And he was the guy you wanted to be. Played football, was a good-looking dude, drove his Camaro. He was just cool,
Oh, yeah, the Camaro. Huh?
Yeah, you just really looked up to this guy. And so he would actually pay us the time of day when we rode our bikes down to the auto parts store to hang out with Tony and buy chrome caps for our valve stems on our bikes. Well, one day he was playing Back in Black in his car. And I walked up to the open window when he was at the stop sign. And I said, man, what is that you're listening to? And he said, man, you've never heard AC/DC? And he pops the tape out and hands me Back in Black. And Hell's Bells, Back in Black, Shoot to Thrill. I was completely done. There was no turning back. I got my parents to buy me the record at Safeway, when Safeway, the grocery store, had a record section. And brought it home, and my dad was like, son, I don't approve of some of these song titles, giving the dog a bone, and,
Have a drink on them.
yeah, what do you do for money? And so, but I remember just poring over the liner notes, and I remember taking the inner sleeve out and seeing that picture of Angus with the lights shining from behind him. And as simple as that record is, just guitar, drums, bass, and vocals, that thing just set the world on fire for me, for just hard rock and metal for the next 40 years almost.
Well, once again, I think it goes back to what strikes a chord inside of us emotionally. No matter what the genre is, there's always something about a certain album or a release that will just, some people love, should I even say Slipknot, but I personally don't, because it doesn't strike a chord, but I see how wildly popular they are, and more power to them. They're just a bunch of grungy dudes from Iowa that are out making a living, doing what they want, and now look how big they've become. Now, they didn't get much of my money, but that's fine. That's
right.
Because, and to me, if it strikes you as being great, then it's great.
Exactly.
So we're not here to sell anybody on anything else except for the fact that you should have not only open ears but open minds and an open heart. And I think you'll find that music will be much more enjoyable.
Absolutely. Yeah, pay attention to everything that's out there. There's so much to choose from. As we said before, John does a record label called Metal Rising, and in the future episodes we'll bring some of his releases online and tell you more about those. He's also quite an accomplished artist, and we'll show you about some of that as we go forward. So that was a quick and dirty episode about what got us into hard rock and heavy metal. We will see you next time. Tell us your stories down in the comments, and metal will prevail. We'll see you next time.